everybody, Jacques here, the Inspired Piper. Hope you're all doing well. Just enjoying a nice little walk through the woods here, smoking some GLP's Haddo's Delight and my quarter bent bladder, one of my favorite outdoor pipes. So for anyone who's been following me for the past year and a half, I guess, my life has been rather nomadic, having left Western Canada early last year, to move to Ireland for a new job. That didn't work out, pandemic hit. Ended up coming back to Canada and stayed for about a year. We came back last August, stayed for about a year in a small cottage, and now just recently moved to another house that we've rented for a while. These woods that you're seeing behind me that are gorgeous and peaceful and quiet are actually right behind my house, so I'm quite content with that. Never been one for cities and suburbs. So I moved about a week and a half ago, and I posted a picture, this picture, of my new pipe cabinet, and I had a lot of reactions to it. And not surprisingly, I actually enjoy also seeing a lot of guys posting their pictures of their pipe cabinets, collections, you know, their tobacco cellars. So not very surprised by all the reactions. And I also did get a couple of comments and questions, and I thought I'd do a video to answer some of those questions and go through them. So here goes. All right, so here we are in front of the said cabinet. I'm very happy with it. So before we start answering the questions, I just wanted to give you a bit of history and context about this cabinet. So when I was a wee lad, and by wee I mean about 12 years old, we used to live in the upper floor of a duplex. Now in Quebec, when we talk about a duplex, it typically means something like this. A rather uninspiring architectural design, very boxy, very rectangular, and typically half of the building is owned by one landlord, the other half is owned by another landlord, typically. And the landlords would typically live downstairs, which would give them, you know, the first floor and the basement, and they would rent the second floor to tenants, such as us. And now this couple that lived there was an Italian couple. They had two girls, a little bit younger than I was, and you know, we were friends with them and all that. We stayed there for many years. And many years later, I reconnected with the sisters on Facebook. They both went through some very difficult times. One of them unfortunately passed away from breast cancer earlier this year. But her sister put this cabinet up for sale. And so, you know, went to see her, and her father had recuperated this during his career. He was in demolition. And at one point during his career, there was a house fire in a section of Montreal called Westmount, which is a fairly well-to-do, very English section of Montreal. So the house was essentially destroyed, but somehow this cabinet survived. And so the father, rather than, you know, let it go to waste, said, well, I want to take this home. And so he did. And for many, many years, he had his little Ferrari collection in here. And now at this point, he's put it in another cabinet, and they wanted to sell it. But what I learned when I went to pick it up from their daughter is that this cabinet is actually over 100 years old. So quite the antique and quite the beautiful piece, and I think it makes a great home for my pipes. Now, let's tackle the question. First one. Oh, yes, of course. Here's some clips from the cabinet. So in the top part, I like to store all my pipes on the shelves, all the pipe racks. And most of these pipe racks I've picked up at antique stores and such. So it's really cool because you can't go into a store and buy a new pipe rack today, right? So every time I go into antique stores, if I find one of these things, I buy it. So the top two shelves, the glass shelves, are where all my pipes are. The bottom shelf of the top part has some of the common tobaccos that I have jarred and that I smoke on a regular basis. The bottom part has two shelves. The middle door doesn't open, but on each side, but there is space behind it. But on the two sides, I've got, on one side, on the left side, I've got my tobacco cellar, if you will. It's not huge, but I've got a couple of jars in there for before the tobacco apocalypse hits. And on the right side, I keep my buffer wheel, cleaning stuff, and other supplies. So here's, you know, hopefully you've now got a better view of the cabinet. Now, second question. Oh, yes, very observant. So this little bottle on the middle shelf is actually obsidian oil, which personally I get from Four Noggins, but I believe all the major online retailers sell some kind of obsidian oil. It's a very nice clear oil, and what I do is when I finish smoking a pipe, I'll empty the bowl, of course, and I'll just put a bit on my fingers and rub it on the stem. Now this is great for vulcanite stems, because vulcanite, as you know, has this kind of oxidation that happens from the humidity on the mouth and the moisture, and you get, you know, this kind of stuff. I hope you can see it. I refer to it as mouth scum. It doesn't look very nice when you've got a nice pipe collection and you've got this oxidation slash mouth scum on it. So by just rubbing a little bit of obsidian oil after I smoke my pipes, it makes them really nice again. Acrylic stems don't have that problem. Now I know some of you might be going, well, why don't you put rubber bits on them? Because I hate them. I've tried them. I really have. I've tried to like them. I can't. I don't like the taste in my mouth or the feel in my mouth. And so, you know, this is my compromise. After I finish, rub a bit of oil, I let it dry a little, and then I'll rub it off with a nice cloth. And so my pipes stay really nice and clean. So this is an example of one that I've done. So none of this mouth scum. So very practical, not expensive, and keeps your pipes looking really nice. Third question. The labels. Yes. So, you know, from an aesthetic point of view, I do prefer keeping the tobacco in the tins. In the GLPs or Cornell and Diehl tins, they stay a little, you know, they keep their moisture a little better. But a lot of them, I like to jar, you know, and I'm following people's advice on some of the Facebook groups. And it is true that when you jar your tobaccos, they mature and they age nicely. So, for example, a lot of my tobaccos, I'll create a label. So I put one on the top, and I also put one on the front. Now it makes, you know, as someone observed, it makes for a really nice display, and I can easily spot what I want to do. It's better than just writing it by hand. Yeah, it's a little more work. I know some guys just like to put a label and write. That's what I was doing. I just had a label printer initially, and that's what I was doing. But then through the Facebook groups, I learned about this site called Seller Labels. So rather than just stand here and talk to you about it, I'm going to go to the computer and show you what it looks like. Really easy to make labels. Here goes. All right, so here it is. You go to community.sellerlabels.com. I will put the link below the video. When you get to the home page, the International Seller Club, the first thing you'll want to do is get the templates. So as you can see, I'm working on a Mac, so I got the Apple Pages templates. You can have configurations for 6 labels or 4 labels, depending on the kind of label pages that you're going to get, the paper that you're going to get. But they also have templates for Microsoft Word. Now, just so you know, the site's a little wonky. For example, if you want to go home, well, it doesn't bring you back home. It kind of brings you back to where you were, and you kind of go in circles for a little bit. If you go to the Seller Club, it wants you to register. I'm already logged in. I don't have to register, so it looks like there's a bit of an issue with their website, but click on the big logo and you come back to the home page. What you want to do then is go to the community labels, and this is a bunch of people, part of the community, that create these labels that you can just download the images, and they have like tons and tons of them. It's really cool. And for a lot of the tobacco blends, they even have more than one label. So what I've done is I have downloaded those that, you know, I've done and worked with the most, and then using the provided pages template, I just create the logos. Now, what I've done is I've taken the second part of the logo and I've just reduced the scale. So the top one is what I put on the top of the jar, and then this smaller one, the smaller version, is what I cut in a circle and then put at the front of the jar. It's a little difficult to do a really nice circular cut. I might just make it a little smaller and eventually get like a paper trimmer and then just, you know, cut it rectangular to put on the jar. But for now, it's fine. The way my jars are positioned, as you can see, I mostly see the top, but that's all it is. And then you buy some kind of nice label paper and you just print that out. If you've got a laser or inkjet color printer, it does a beautiful job. So that's it, folks. Here's my pipe cabinet. Answered all your questions. I hope. If you have any others, you know, please leave them in the comments below, either on Facebook or on YouTube, and I can follow up on them. you know, it's our hobby. We like to display our pipes. We're proud of them, our tobaccos, and so this is my little baby, my little collection. And please, I keep posting your collections and your cabinets. I love seeing them. Ciao, everybody.